What up, viewers? What up? What up? Today is Saturday, October 5th, and that means it's time for a quick recap of the week in video game news. Starting off with the big release yesterday, Ghost Recon Breakpoint launched yesterday. And before I get into the review score, I just wanted to talk a little bit about how the game has been. I think the game's been pretty good at marketing itself as the next Ghost Recon Wildlands. I think the game looks very similar to Ghost Recon Wildlands, and they've done a good job establishing themselves as a sequel to that game. To the point where if you play that game, you might not want to play Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Like, I don't know if there's been like new features added or what makes it the next iteration, other than the fact that Jon Bernthal's in it, and I love Jon Bernthal as an actor. I think he's a great actor, and I hope to see him in more stuff. But moving along to the review score, I saw a 53 review score on Metacritic, and it's gotta be a big disaster. A bunch of things that were quoted is Ubisoft is typically good at making open world games feel big and open worldy, and Ubisoft is pretty good at making sequels to games. And apparently this falls flat on both of those kind of promises that Ubisoft usually gives. So, you know, whether or not you should get this one or just continue to play Wildlands if you're still playing Wildlands, I bet the story and narrative is still great. I've never been that big a Ghost Recon fan, and a 53 isn't going to pull me in either. But I hope the game works out. It's the big first, well, maybe not the big first release of the month, but the big new AAA title of the month. But yeah, if you play it, tell me what you think down below. I didn't look at the user scores. I usually look at that, but I wonder how closely they are aligned. Moving right along, the reason I stumbled over big new releases is Destiny 2 Shadowkeep launched October 1st on Tuesday, and I hear it's doing great. It's very much driven by nostalgia. You go back to the moon. They brought back Eris Morn. I'm just, a lot of that is enough usually to like latch itself in and like pull me into Destiny. I've been slowly trying to get off the train, and then Forsaken came out, and it was a great iteration on Destiny 2. Even though those DLCs for the first couple DLCs for Destiny 2 were crappy and short. This one's trying to sink its claws in, and I'm just trying to get off the train. There's a dichotomy associated with going back to the moon. A lot of the assets are used again, but slightly different. A lot of it is nostalgia driven, and that could be both good and bad thing. I think like when I see, hey, you're going back to the moon, my side of it is like, oh, they're reusing the same assets because they already have it. And I've already been to the moon and done that. So, retreading old grounds doesn't, it can definitely give me nostalgia, but it doesn't pull me into wanting to pay again. And I've been burned on the DLCs for a long time. The DLCs after Forsaken were very hit or miss. And so I think I'm just off the train for now. And finally, it could be a money thing. If there's whispers, or if Destiny 2 is already free to play, then maybe eventually everything's gonna go free to play, and they're just gonna monetize themselves on loot ingrams. I don't know if that's enough to sustain Destiny 2. And I'm kind of looking for Destiny 3 now, and hopefully hopefully they're in a better place. And tell me what you think down below about what Destiny 2 has going for it. Moving along, I saw a PC Gamer report this week talk about how the first successful cloud gaming service stands to make $1 bajillion, and that Google Stadia is the one lined up to do that. I don't quite agree with that. We've had cloud gaming services for a while now. PS Now has like less than 1 million subscribers, although PS Now is now $10 a month and has bigger games in it. But yeah, the I don't know if like the first ones to it are going to be the best. The first ones to it could screw it up for the rest of everybody. I'm still waiting for Call of Duty to get onto a cloud gaming service and a big multiplayer shooter. And as soon as there's frame catching and latency issues, like it could kill cloud gaming for a long time and burn people on it. So I don't know that like it's going to be awesome to subscribe once a month to get access to games, and Uplay is doing its thing, and streaming and cloud gaming, streaming and subscriptions kind of get blended together, but there's two different things. I don't think a lot of people know that Google Stadia, you also have to buy the games. Like it's just like Steam, where you have you'll have a Google Stadia library and you'll pay the full price for a game and then have it in your library. They're kind of selling hardware, or not hardware. They're giving you an alternative to hardware, which I think is a good which could be a good model. I think it might have a small impact on PlayStation 5 and Xbox 2. But yeah, I just have my hesitations when I see articles like it's $1 billion industry and the first ones there are going to win. So I don't know that it's necessarily the first ones there. Moving along, Sean Layden is leaving. The head of Sony PlayStation is leaving, and they haven't really announced a replacement. I don't know, when Reggie, the head of Nintendo America, stepped down, like he has more of a personality. I've seen him more. Sean Layden at like E3s and stuff just kind of shows up, says a few words, and then shows off the games, which I love about the PlayStation conferences when they actually happen. But I don't feel as much pull towards or sympathy towards like Sean Layden. I don't know him. He hasn't really, his personality doesn't show through when he gets on stage. So this isn't like a personal hit like it is when like Reggie steps down. Also, we don't know if this is like retirement or if he's doing a bad job or anything else. Maybe they're cutting costs, but yeah, there's just a lot of question marks around him leaving, and that was a big thing that happened this week. Another report I saw was kind of a really cool report. It was just Tencent, the big Chinese investment company, has its fingers in a lot of video game pies. And so I just saw a whole article about everything that they're invested in. And so I think it's cool to just run through a bunch of them. They own Riot Games. They have 48% of Epic. They have 80% of the company behind Path of Exile. They have 84% of Supercell, the mobile developer, and they've invested $160 million in Discord, and they have like 5% in other big companies like Activision. I think they have more than 5% in Bluehole, the company behind PUBG. It's like 10 or 15%. But it's just crazy that like how big Tencent is investing in the video game industry. I forget what the other company was that kind of like owned Ubisoft for a while, and then like has had like its finger in a bunch of video game pies. I think it started with a V. I don't remember. Tell me what it is down in the comments below if you know what I'm talking about. But there's this company that just kind of like moved around and like invested in video games and then backed out and then invested and backed out. But yeah, Tencent has its fingers in a lot of pies, and they're slowly taking over the video game industry. So yeah, another article talked about Ubisoft released like big milestone numbers for some of its franchises. Assassin's Creed has sold across all of its games, has sold 140 million units, which is crazy. That's more than GTA 5, but I assume the GTA franchise has sold way more than 140 million units, but that's a lot of units. Far Cry, the entire series, has sold 50 million units. The Division 2 has 20 million players, and it's the fastest selling new IP for Ubisoft. And then Rainbow Six Siege has 50 million players. So yeah, Ubisoft is really doing good for itself. I always look at, you have the EAs and the Activisions of the world that are like the dominant ones right now, but I'm constantly interested in what Ubisoft's doing, because I think like their investment in Uplay is really smart. I think they have a really good like Ubisoft has a really good brand, and their brand is just really well associated with Assassin's Creed, the Tom Clancy games, The Division, Far Cry. Like it's got a really good set of brands, and I always like that they've kind of gone like the Blizzard route of like they can just sell their brand in every single game, and like that's enough to like monetize some people. Like get a Rainbow Six Siege skin in Assassin's Creed, kind of like get a Warcraft 3 skin in Diablo. Like it just kind of goes together. Like they're one of the best publishers, I think, in best practices and in how to run a giant big old publisher. Even more than an Ubisoft or an Activision. But it's just my opinion. I don't typically talk about mobile games, but two big mobile releases recently have hit some big milestones. Mario Kart has hit 90 million player downloads, and Call of Duty Mobile, which launched same day as Shadowkeep on the 1st of the month, has 35 million. So in 4 days, they've gotten 35 million. I don't know how that tracks to like, I think Pokemon Go is still one of the fastest downloaded games, and it like hit 100 in 5 days or something like that. Mario Kart's been out for like 2 weeks now, so 90 million's on pace to hit that number. But yeah, both those mobile games are getting downloads. Whether or not that means that they're making money is always a big question in the mobile game market. Small leak this week. Somewhere on Amazon, someone found that there's a Fallout Legacy collection that's coming, and it's supposedly going to have Fallout 1, 2, whatever the middle one, I think Brotherhood of Steel in there, and then Fallout 3, New Vegas, Fallout 4, all in one like remastered pack. And that should sell. That's easily a $60 game. Some of those games are massive, and there's plenty of content to be put, if this is a legit thing, or if it wasn't just like a misplaced image or something like that. But could be interesting. I am a huge Fallout fan. If people don't know, I am a diehard. My work bag is the Vault 111 bag that I got from the Fallout loot crate. So diehard Fallout fan. So I'm super interested in playing something like that. Especially back to the old Interplay Fallout 1 and 2. Surprised they still have access to it. I guess when you buy the full rights, you get the old games as well. But moving right along, another launch this week. I've talked a little bit about it, but the competitive dungeon crawler game Ready Set Heroes launched this week. I'll have a link to the trailer down below. You play as cuddly animals, and then you're like playing through a dungeon crawler, and then after a certain amount of time, you'll switch into like a battle arena using all the gear that you've collected during the dungeon crawl part. I think it's a really cool concept. I hope that more. I want to see this as a whole kind of like genre, because I'm traditionally a dungeon crawl fan. I don't like the battle arena, but it's a good way to showcase like, am I really like a really good dungeon crawler, and then I get into the battle arena and then fall apart, or is there good battle arena players that aren't good at dungeon crawling and then they won't have that? I don't know. I think it's a really cool idea and a mashup. So I hope this game does well. There's also a visual novel. I don't typically. I'm playing through all of Telltale Walking Dead this month, but I really like I really like the visual kind of narrative games. And there's one that came out this week. What up, Yellow? There's one that came out this week called One Night Stand, and it's all about like you wake up and you don't remember what happened the night before. And so I think it's a super interesting concept. I like the art style of it. It looks very like Life is Strangey. So yeah, I think and there's like one of 12 endings. Yeah, I'll have a link down to the trailer below, but I think it looks like a really cool game. And depending on the price point, I might pick it up and play it. And maybe if it's on the Switch, I don't know. I guess if it's on console, I'm fine with that as well. But yeah, looks like a cool game, cool art style. And I wonder if I could navigate the ins and outs of a One Night Stand. I don't know. Great concept. I hope it does well. Last but certainly not least, and slightly less video game related, Wendy's, the fast food burger chain, came out with a not even a Dungeons and Dragons module, but like a tabletop RPG where it has all of the material. It's like a 90-page document. It has all the material for playing a D&D-esque adventure in the realm of like Wendy's dumb, and you're trying to defeat the great evil clown king, kind of thing. It's I think it's really well done. I actually read through like the player creation pages, and I think it looks really good. Actually, it's funny. I think if they like actually bound it into a D&D style book, I might buy it. I think it's a really cool concept. I think Wendy's has one of the best like marketing / social teams out there. They have a lot of the time. They do a lot of really good things like poking at the competition. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy this content. If you do, like, follow, and subscribe to me on YouTube and Twitch. Links in the description below, so you can see more great content like this. Thanks again. Hope you have a super day. Hope you have a super weekend. And I hope you have a super day. Bye!